So before we get started, just so we know which direction to tailor our conversation, can we do a show of hands on how many folks in the room are affiliates? And the rest, I'm assuming, are advertisers? Everybody else? Okay. So primarily advertisers. So we'll do the 80-20.
Yeah. So quickly, my name is Max Teitelbaum. I'm the COO and co-founder of WhatRunsWhere. We do online competitive intelligence for display and mobile media.
I'm Lori Weiman, CEO of the Search Monitor. We monitor ads online for competitive intelligence and also for compliance with affiliate program rules. So we'll be going through some stats, a few case studies, and then we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So,
What we're really hoping to do out of this is show you how you can use competitive intelligence within your own businesses or to help your clients and really boost your channel spend and return there. So we did that. So affiliates are competitive, and there are a couple stats there. Forrester estimated the affiliate marketing industry would grow to $4.5 billion by 2016. That's a lot of money. And it'll only keep growing from there. We're a high growth industry and we're a young industry that's evolved. I got into this industry almost 10 years ago, and the way that it's grown and the number of people that are even here are really crazy to me compared to what it used to be.
So just a couple of stats from Black Friday just to show how far we've come, and the internet, obviously, you all know it's still growing, but these are pretty interesting. So we're up from 2012 by 2.3% on the overall sales. 16% of the sales came from growth over 2012 on Cyber Monday. And then what's really compelling is what we're seeing coming from mobile. I think a lot of you probably use mobile channel. How many, show of hands, how many use mobile currently? Good. And you can see that it's growing completely at a huge clip. We've got 40% growth in overall traffic, and then 34% growth in actual transactions that happen through mobile from comparing the same period from last year. So pretty big, and a lot of competition obviously heats up as revenue grows.
Oh, great. We don't have a moderator, so this is where the moderator would usually step in, so I'll be the moderator here, I guess. So Lori, why is affiliate marketing so competitive?
Well, Max, the affiliates actually drive a very large amount of sales for merchants. They spend when someone comes through the affiliate channel, they're spending an average of $7 more per transaction than they would if they came direct. There's also a propensity to convert. There's more likelihood to convert just from coming in from the affiliate channel. It grows by 43%. And then here at the bottom, we can see merchants see 23% of total online sales coming from the affiliate channel. So it continues to grow and take up a higher percentage of advertising.
Very interesting.
So let me ask you, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Max, what are the top niches for display advertising?
Sure. I mean, we see a lot of different stuff within WhatRunsWhere. For affiliates, we see a lot of the large appeal niches of where you can not hit a small segment, but when you buy, especially large-scale display, you want to hit a market that has a lot of consumers in it. So you see things like health and wellness, which include diet, education, auto insurance. Gaming has really exploded. I'm from Canada, so I mean, you can make jokes later, but we don't have ads. It's blown me away that when I watch TV here, I see ads for Clash of Clans and ads for games on TV, but that's really exploded on digital as well. And dating is also huge.
I'm going to take the same question for myself. We'll look at the same idea, but on search. So you can see, this is a chart of the top 5 verticals on search where you have a lot of affiliate presence. So apparel, home and garden, hobbies and leisure, sports and fitness, and beauty round out the top 5 where there's a very large percentage of advertisers that are affiliates. And then there's a few call-outs here, like if you look at the apparel space, footwear is even better represented than the overall apparel space. Apparel has 10% of the advertisers are affiliates on paid search. In footwear, it's 24% are affiliates. So what we're building on here as we show you these stats, I hope that you're getting this from what we're talking about, is the competitiveness is sort of growing. So if you can see if you're advertising on Google, for example, and you're in the footwear space, 24% of the advertisers being affiliates that means that for you as an advertiser, if you don't have a strong affiliate presence, you're sort of losing out to your competition who probably do. So you really want to consider not just how your program's doing compared to the competition, but also how your affiliates are faring compared to each other. It becomes very important.
Absolutely. And then also, if you're an affiliate, that tells you that you're going to have a lot more competition in that space. So what can you do to differentiate yourself? How can you build a competitive advantage versus, say, other affiliates?
And then as this slide here is the search monitor part of our business is compliance. And so I just wanted to illustrate from an advertiser standpoint, some folks are worried that affiliates are maybe not complying with their program rules on paid search. And we did a study of our database of information, and it turns out that primarily affiliates do behave well on search and do comply. There's a very small percentage over in the far right, this 18%, it's not very many as far as the overall pie, that are probably doing things you don't want them to do. And the rest of the market really is trying to do a good job for you and get you the traffic and sales that you're looking for.
I can tell you that's not quite the same thing on display. Search is a bit easier to, as for an advertiser, and correct me if I'm wrong, for them to go and see. I search a keyword, I see what my affiliate's doing. On display, compliance is a much bigger deal. And especially where your ads are showing up. If you're a brand and you're BMW or something like that, you don't want your ad showing up on a torrent site or, worst of all, like a porn tube site. So how do you really monitor that? So, quick case study on competitive intelligence making a difference.
I'll take this.
Yeah.
So this actually has nothing to do with affiliates, but it's just an interesting infographic on what can happen to you if you're not watching your competition. So this was Target and Walmart from the time period from August through Black Friday. And you can see totally different strategies. And we've thrown this out to our clients and up on blogs to get folks to, what do you think this means? Because it can mean so many different things. But if you look at the Target line, which is the red one, they have a huge spend right around back to school, and then it drops off to basically nothing. So what happened there? And then you can see they overtake Walmart and sort of displace them right around the important time when everyone's buying for the holiday season. And then Walmart coming in with a completely different look. So we've got the blue line being Walmart, where they're sort of steady from back to school all the way through Black Friday. And then you can see them getting displaced by Target at the last minute right there in that November where that little snowflake is, where the red line beats the blue, right in that spot. So if you're either one of these companies and you hadn't really been paying attention to your competition, you've sort of missed out on potentially an opportunity, because maybe there's a way that you can completely overtake the other just by watching what they're doing and seeing when their spend is dipping. The same thing holds true for you guys, for affiliates, and when you're advertising yourselves. Looking at the competition is really important. I like to think about it like if you're a runner and you're running a race. If you only care about your own time, you're not going to win the race. You actually have to know your competition's time as well so that you can outrun them. And this is what happened here. In one viewpoint, you might say Target outran Walmart. They spent a lot of energy, then slowed down, and then geared back up. And at the end, when we're taking questions, if any of you have some thoughts on what you think this means, I'd definitely love to hear what you have to say. Are you going to ask me a question?
A question? No, this is...
Okay, so this illustrates what you can do on search as an advertiser with your brand terms if you want to own sort of the top 3 spots or multiple positions on the page. Is a good strategy. So this would be an AT&T keyword for ATT broadband. And you can see this is just a snippet of one search that I ran. I don't know if you can see all the different URLs there, but there's an AT&T either direct to them or a reseller owning every single spot in the top 3 on the left side of the page on Google on this search term. So what they've done, they studied the market, they studied the competition. If they were to be going at it alone, who do you think would be in the positions 1, 2, and 3? Maybe one would be an AT&T site, and the other 2 spots could be going to their direct competitors. So in order to prevent that from happening, they enabled their resellers to advertise on their brand term. They probably have some co-bidding strategy and rules in place where they perhaps say, you can bid on my brand term, but make sure that you're in positions 2 and 3 and I can stay in position 1. And by doing that, they've blocked the market, and now they own the page on that brand term. So this is another great example of why competitive intelligence matters, because if you aren't paying attention, you may have lost those top spots to a competitor.
And as an affiliate, you can also do that yourself, or as a merchant, you can do that yourself. You can create different pages that drive traffic back to your offer or back to a client's offers, and take multiple. If a keyword's working really well and you're in position 1, why not test being in position 2 or in position 3 as well? Because you have to remember, in position 1, you're not getting 100% of the clicks. So if that's working well, are you going to be able to get more clicks and more conversions by taking more spots as well? So you can look at also what big brands do and learn from that and take that back into your own campaign strategy. So quickly, to understand affiliate marketing's landscape, we'll talk about search first. I mean, Lori, are affiliates and merchants working cohesively?
What do you guys think? How many of you think affiliates and merchants are working cohesively with their channel strategies?
Nope.
That many? We often think that if merchants and affiliates would share data more and there was more transparency, you could actually build an incredible cross-channel strategy with each other. And you have a ton of thoughts on this about, we all know that the more sort of places that your ads show up, the more likely you are to get engagement with consumer. If your affiliates can help you be places that you can't, and if you can be places that they can't, then you've basically gotten more reach. That's going to be to your benefit. So the more that you can work with your affiliates in a cohesive manner, or the affiliates working with the merchant in a cohesive manner, actually helps everybody.
I mean, if you look at it, if you look at what the IAB said, which is the Internet Advertising Bureau, if you look at a traditional advertiser that just buys TV, and I know that has nothing to do with digital, but if you mix in a 15% digital spend, you see over 25% increase in your actual marketing returns. So if you're a merchant that has a traditional business that has TV and you don't have the expertise to do that, how can you leverage your affiliates to buy display or search for you? Or even on a more micro level, if you're a merchant that just runs search, how can you leverage your affiliates to run display for you, or how can you run display to increase your returns there?
And on that same note, I think a lot of us operate tracking on last click in, gets credit for the sale, but we all know that there's multiple touch points before a buy occurs, and more interaction between affiliates and merchants maybe create a better understanding of actually what went into drive each individual sale, and can probably help tailor marketing efforts around where the proper touch points are. So that's really important.
Absolutely. So Lori, what are competitors' affiliates doing that are working well for them?
So you basically, when you're looking at you're looking at the landscape, I think we all have this micro view of just looking at our own selves and our own affiliate programs, which is fine, and that's always a great starting point. But once you've sort of grown up a little bit from that and you feel comfortable with the information you're looking at, the next step really is to start looking at what are your competitors doing, and then what are your competitors' affiliates doing. And maybe you can learn from that. Like, I know a lot of you probably use couponing and promo codes and things like that. It's good to look at the offers that your competitors have running, what their affiliates are carrying, and see if you can maybe answer the question as to how can I be more competitive with those offers. So it's not just about you and what you're doing, but also looking at the whole landscape.
So sort of a follow-up, who's beating you on your own best keyword terms?
That's a good question. If you're not using competitive intelligence, you probably don't know. So did your ROI grow from last year? Did your impression share grow from last year? I'm sure you all know the answer to that question. But did it grow better than or faster than the competition? What is the benchmark for your industry, and where should you be outpacing? So if you're growing at 20% a year and your goal was 18%, obviously you beat your goal. But if the rest of the industry is growing at a 30% rate, then you're not keeping up. So it's important to look at that.
And here's a huge issue, because let's say I'm a brand and I'm buying my own SEM, and I have an SEO team that's working hard for different keywords. How do I manage that versus what I'm doing with my affiliates?
I mean, that's all about proper monitoring. I mean, as long as you're tracking where your clicks are coming from your affiliate program, where your clicks are coming from your own internal efforts, and then just making sure that they're not competing with each other. Sort of try to work together.
And then how do I actually manage my reputation on paid search?
That's going to come, same thing, monitoring. You want to watch and look. Can we take a moment?
You can come on up.
Our star guest has arrived. Can we get a show of applause for Greg? Yay.
Hi, sorry. All right, so here we are.
We're deep in it.
You're deep in.
Yes, Max Maness.
My apologies.
I'm not nearly as good looking as you, though, but I tried.
Right, so
We
you're on the questions, or you guys
we did this one. You're on. Okay. Yeah, you can go.
Exactly.
So some of the things that they're asking is, does everybody understand the value of understanding who your competitors are, first of all? You think you understand? If you're an affiliate or a merchant, you still have to understand the value of who your competitors are. So what these guys both supply are tools that are assets that we use. We're the largest affiliate marketing agency in the world. We use their tools to figure out how to attract affiliates from other programs. We use their tools to figure out what affiliates are doing for other merchants. These are valuable assets. Some of the questions that they can answer for you are, this question on the top here is, who am I competing with on display networks in my target niche?
And I mean, that's an interesting question, because as an affiliate, and let's say that you're an affiliate that's running a dating site, you may think that you're just competing with other dating sites on display, but that's not quite how it works. Because in display, you're really just buying an audience. So who else wants that same audience? You're not just competing against other display sites, you're competing with other people that want that same audience. If your display site, if your dating site is targeting women that are aged 30 to 60, you're not only competing with other dating sites, you're competing with other people that want that audience. So health and wellness, people that want skin cream. You're competing with a whole host of other people. So what can I do there is I can use competitive intelligence to find parallel products, and how can I learn from their strategies and bring that back into my own campaigns to find new ways to test.
And then you also have to figure out whether they're using that as a branding message, right? Or whether they're using that to actually drive traffic that's going to convert to sales.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a big, and that's a bit of, research as well. There's a big difference between, BMW going after that market and a direct response product going after that market. I mean, I don't know, maybe some of you guys do, but I personally don't know that anybody that's ever bought a car online and has gone to BMW.com and said, I want to buy this car and paid for it.
Or had it work out. Yeah. And then what about the positioning of the creative?
I mean, that's extraordinarily important. There's a huge term that we throw around in display, which is viewability. So if my ad's showing up, is it showing up above the fold? So that's extraordinarily important, because when you go to, let's say, CNN, are you going to read all the way down to the bottom of the article and get down there and see ads by Taboola or Discus or somebody like that? Or am I, when I go there, is it the first ad that I see? And does that perform better? In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. But where are my competitors actually showing up, and how can that help me with my actual strategy as well?
And then as far as the competition in terms of the top performing ads, I mean, there's a lot obviously here, right? The position of the ad, if it's above or below the fold, how many ads are on that page. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
I mean, I'm going to come at it from the other side, the advertiser side. How do I tell what ad is working best for my advertiser or for my competitor? Because they may run 100 different display ads while they split test through. And there are a couple different things that we use internally. We have a score called prevalence or ad strength that helps us rank what we think is doing best. And a couple factors that we take into account there are things like duration. Most people have a clue what they're doing when they're buying display, because you're dealing with large budgets. So if you've been leaving an ad running for 30 days, 60 days, 100 days, and it's not a branding ad, it's probably working for you in some capacity. Another thing is impression volume. So if I'm seeing the ad on one site and I'm only seeing it 10 times a day, there's a big difference between if I'm seeing it bought on Run of Network and I'm seeing it 1 million times a day. So if I have an ad that's been running a long time with high impression volume, there's probably something there, and there's probably something I need to learn from that actual ad.
Now, when it comes to the networks that these places are using, the competitors that you're looking into, I mean, a lot of the displays are in multiple different networks. They could be running simultaneously. So understanding what network they're in is valuable for what reasons, and then how do you know which of the networks, if they are running multiple networks, is the right choice?
Sure. I mean, well, the first way, how do you know you test? There's display is you test and you figure out what's working, and then you go back and you scale that up. But if you look at the different segments of the market and where they advertise is very different. The networks that affiliates start advertising in are very different than the ones that brands go and buy through. And to use an example, I'll use an example of a DSP, so a demand side platform. So that's what people use to buy programmatic inventory. A lot of brand advertisers start with somebody like Turn or AppNexus, where it's a very brand thing. They sell into large agencies and they dump money into that. Well, affiliates may start with a smaller platform like SiteScout, where you can start with a much smaller spend and you can target on a much more granular level. So it's also about matching the network to your budget. So if you look at the networks your competitors are using, if you have $50,000 to spend as your test budget, you can go to a larger ad network versus if you only have $1,000 and you want to just get your feet wet into display. It makes more sense to go to a self-serve display network that can help you a little bit.
So when you're looking at your display ads and you are looking at doing the ad in terms of trying to get conversions, right? The click-through rates and how well your ads perform over other people's ads. How can you guys help people out in that? What decisions should they be making? What questions should they be asking themselves?
Well, firstly, the biggest mistake that people make is they get complacent. They think I have a great CTR, I think I have a great conversion rate, and they stop testing. You should never stop testing. There are always things that you can test. Before we found WhatRunsWhere, I was an affiliate for 5 years, bought primarily display media. And there are little things that you can do. You can change the banner, the border of the banner color. You can put a border on your banner. There are just little tweaks that you can make that can have significant impacts on your CTR, or you can throw in a new variation. With competitive intelligence, it's all about mitigating risk at the very beginning. With display, it's very rare that you're going to buy something and it's going to start making money immediately. It's a process. You have to optimize and weed out bad placements, bad ads, but it's how do we limit risk there? So how do we come up with a pre-optimized list of placements that I want to test, or how do we come up with different ad copies within our ads that I think are going to do well, and then apply that standard split testing process to that, and that's where we really come in. If I can go to, again, I'll use the dating example. If I can go to one of my competitors' ads and see that they're always using sign up now instead of click here, and I can build that into my ad copy, that saves me a step in split testing.
So if you are looking at this, you should probably have queued up a whole lot of creative, right? A bunch of different assets that you can use and trade out and test and run up against your data that you pull up against your competitors, see how it's performing directly up against it.
Absolutely. What I like to do, or what I like to do personally, was start with, say, 10 different creatives and figure out the 2 that are working, leave those as my sort of principles, and then split test a new set in and variations of those, and over time you get some very high performing creatives. So if you can do that and you can take your competitors' highest performing creatives, you'll have a start off the bat there too.
One of the things when I was telling people about what I was doing here today, a lot of people asked me, they said, well, one of the questions I'd like to know is what size creatives are the best creative sizes? What should we be aiming for when we're out there doing media buys? Should we be looking for placement on the top of the page, the bottom of the page, the side of the page? Who should be on top and underneath? The colors and things like that, they seem to want to wrap around the brand. But it's the location of the creative and the size of the creatives that everybody seems to be asking me about.
I mean, the most popular creative size is 300 by 250. And personally, when I bought that, was my favorite size, because if on a new site you embed it into your content, it's on the side of a page, it fits there. 728 by 90 is the second most popular creative size, and then you have your skyscraper sizes after that. And it's bought in the same way. The most popular size we bought is 300 by 250 because of what you can do with that ad size.
So the data shows that having a man on the creative is a lot less effective than having a woman on the creative. It was interesting. I was reading this thing from Harvard Business Review where they said women like looking at women and men like looking at women, but men don't like looking at men. So the majority of the ads have women on. That's another question that came up a couple of times.
I mean, it depends what you're selling. I don't think if you're selling a muscle supplement, you want, a skinny
unless
woman on it.
Unless it's a big woman.
Unless
right?
it's a big woman, yeah, then you'd be okay. But I mean, that's general in advertising, though. Sex sells. So you put something that will catch somebody's eye and make them look at your banner, and then once you have them interested in your banner, it's how do I get you to click and engage with my content? So the first thing to do there is define what's your objective. Do I want somebody to click, or do I want them to see this and then come to my site later and buy? And
so brand versus
exactly.
Conversion.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's a very different thing. Again, I'll go back to the BMW example. BMW, when they follow you around, want you to remember BMW when you go to buy a car. And well, obviously it's work because I'm talking about BMW instead of any other car company right now. But it's very different as an affiliate. As an affiliate or as a merchant, I want you to come, I want you to click, and I want you to pay me right now. that would be wonderful.
Right. So if you're an affiliate, you're trying to get a conversion because you're on performance,
Exactly.
right? And if you're a merchant, you may be trying to brand to make the marketing process for affiliates warmer because people heard of the brand before.
Exactly. So I need something that's going to catch your eye. That's the first thing. So how do I do that? It could be a very good-looking woman, or it could be one thing that I found that works fantastically and people don't think of is, I'll tell you a little secret. My best ads I ever made, I made in Microsoft Paint by myself, without a designer or anybody else. Ugly ads work because it's different. It looks like they're made at home. I mean, one of my favorite companies that does marketing is Plenty of Fish. Mm-hmm. And Marcus creates those ads. He goes into Microsoft Paint and he puts in the text, and they're literally the ugliest ads I've ever seen, but people love them.
But they convert really well, right?
Yep, they convert great.
So we're going to move on to another subject here. How do affiliate marketers, how they're using search and display to boost sales for the merchants that they work with? So some of the data that's come out of this is that the affiliate marketers display advertising. There's some data here that supports the location of the display and some more of the details that I was just leading into in our previous conversation.
Yep.
So maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
I mean, as I said, it's all about viewability there. And it comes back to what you want, though. So that's an interesting topic from an affiliate perspective. Because for a brand, obviously, you want a very viewable ad. You want, as soon as you go to the site, I see my brand, I associate it. Especially if I'm looking for brand association. So if I'll just keep the BMW example. If I'm BMW, if I go to a finance website and I see a BMW ad, I associate that with money. As an affiliate, I don't care about that as much. I care more about where it converts. So viewability becomes less of a factor there. So the perfect example there is, how many of you are familiar with the hybrid ad networks or the content ad networks out there? Like Discus,
like one guy,
or ClickBoost CPC, or anything like that. One guy? Awesome. You're way
or they're not raising their hands. Come on, people.
But so what that is these are ad networks where if you're reading an article on TechCrunch or VentureBeat or anything like that, you go to the bottom and there are what look like related stories, but these are actual affiliate ads to stuff like how life works, and they sell affiliate products through that. But they're not above the fold. They're not the first thing you see. They're organically embedded into that content. So that comes back to the 300 by 250. If they're working well, how do I buy something that looks like that? How do I create an ad unit that looks like that and put it into their content below the fold? Or how do I learn from that? Or how do I advertise on those networks?
So some of the ads work better below the fold, and some work better on top of the fold.
It's also cheaper below the fold too. So it depends. Yeah. Are you looking for, a low conversion rate but a lot of volume and a cheap spend, or are you willing to pay a $5 to $10 CPM to get premium inventory?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at some of the data, and they were showing how people will start at the top, scroll to the bottom, and go back up to the top.
Exactly.
So those two spots being very valuable, depending on if they have one of those sites that go forever or not.
I'll tell you the secret. You just have to test it.
I would love the secret.
The secret's you have to test it. I've had campaigns where I paid a $5 CPM, and as an affiliate, I've made a ton of money buying above the fold. And I've had campaigns where I paid a 15-cent CPM for remnant inventory below the fold, and it's been unbelievable. You just have to test and see what works.
So is anybody here from BMW? Getting a free plug.
If so, discount, please. Thank you.
Top affiliate marketing strategies. So we're going to talk to some of the strategies that affiliate marketers use: content, blogs, a lot of the different content-oriented social media stuff, search engine optimization, the blogs, the review sites, display, email, social network, incentive program shopping, and paid search. And arbitrage, I'm assuming, is part of that, and also part of media buying, like you were just talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, we have an interesting intersection because we also do a mobile component. So we've been able to watch the affiliate space specifically grow on mobile. And the first thing I'll say is, as affiliates, over half of you put up your hands that you do mobile. You guys are way ahead of any brand that buys mobile. We have a lot of large agency customers. They have no clue how to buy mobile. So you guys have something really valuable there because you figured out something that...
That's true. Merchants are behind on that. So out of these, though, which one is the best?
I mean, which one's I'm going to say display.
Show me some love. Which one's the best one here?
I'm biased.
Biased, yeah.
I would have to probably go with the SEO end because it's free.
Yeah.
So if you have a talent there, that's a great place to put your efforts.
Yeah, and you offer some tools that really help people out with understanding where they are in that process, as well as paid search in the arbitrage space too.
Right, we do, when we're monitoring, we're also looking, when we look at like a Google search result page, we're not just looking at the paid ads, we're also looking at the PLAs, the product listing ads, that I'm sure you all have seen grow in popularity. About 60 to 70% of all keywords now have some kind of a retail keyword, have shopping ads running on them, so that's important. And then the optimizing the organic part of the page is key. And that part of the page has gotten very interesting over the years because it's not just natural search anymore. There's maps. You'll find news stories. Bloggers are getting indexed. Twitter posts are getting indexed. So it's not enough to just try to be first or even in the top 10 anymore in natural, because you might be displaced by a map. If the map's first and there's 7 advertisers on the map, you're first in organic is really 8th on the page. So you have to look at an entire search result page as if it's one ad unit, and then look at how many positions. I've been playing a lot of Monopoly with my kids, so I sort of started thinking about it in terms of the game of Monopoly. Where
Anybody here from Monopoly?
I know it's old-fashioned, and we're not playing it online, doing the actual board game. You don't want to own Boardwalk or Park Place because there's only 2 of those on the whole board. But if you think about it in terms of something like that, the idea is to own as much real estate as possible. A search result page is real estate. There's a lot of elements on the page. If you're doing a paid campaign as a merchant and you only have 1 spot, then you have 1 spot out of potentially 20 to 25 placements on the page. 1 out of 25. So it's not great. If you have 2 spots, now you're doing a little bit better. So if you can maximize your organic, get into the product listing ads, make sure that your paid search are covered. Before you arrived, we were looking at AT&T has a great example of a branded term where they actually own the top 3 spots on paid search because they have their resellers bidding with them, like cohesively with them. So now they have 3 out of the 25 potential spots. So if they were doing more in organic, they'd have even more. So own the page. That's sort of the key takeaway there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the most competitive spot, but it has the best risk-reward payoff, right? But there's also some synergy, right, between some of the stuff that his technology finds out about, like social media and blogs and other content that can help the process of SEO too.
Right, yeah, your SEO rankings are going to be greatly improved if you're participating in other forms of content. But I think both of us think the big takeaway is to have a cohesive campaign across lots of different touch points. Yeah. And that's what that slide really illustrates, is being laser focused on one type of advertising isn't touching consumers where they're actually spending their time. So yeah. You want to be everywhere.
Or even if you're not a merchant, if you're an affiliate and you're helping, a merchant, or if you're just running campaigns through an affiliate network, having multiple channels is diversifying your risk. So even if one channel stops working, you still have other places that you're still sending volume and traffic to the offer from. So you diversify the risk and de-risk your traffic flow a little bit so that you can keep up good quality traffic and keep it up for longer.
And also the relationship with the merchant if you're an affiliate. If that merchant goes out to look at what activity is going on and they keep running into you everywhere they go, they're going to want to have a really good relationship with you because that content is yours, but it serves them. So managing that content and having that everywhere, and that's some of the stuff that you guys learn about when you're going through the process. So it actually adds value to the merchant from the publisher's perspective.
Absolutely.
It's just really, really, really valuable. I'll tell you from an agency, that's a really valuable perspective to have. Some of the offers that actually worked and were profitable during Black Friday, the free shipping offer, the sale offer, free shipping with a minimum, the free product, and then free shipping and discount. Now, we have 4 of those that have free in them. So some of the some of the message right there is that 75% here is free. So free works, and then some of the publishers have free oriented websites, like freebie websites, where as long as it has the word free in it, they can publish it, and it stands out different than a coupon site or something like that. But it's interesting if you look at the offers that actually worked here, and free shipping seems like it's becoming a standard, and maybe you could talk to that.
Yeah, so you look at if you start to look at the landscape and let's take it back a couple of years. Nobody had offers running on search or anywhere really. They just didn't really think of it. And then free shipping was a novelty.
Yeah.
Now it is the standard. If you don't have free shipping in your ad copy, I mean, I don't even know if you even need it anymore. It's expected. Every place you went over the big retail season, just right on the homepage of every website had a free shipping code. So the thing here is to look at what types of offers are running and then try to stand out. So offering free shipping is now a must, and it's not really an offer anymore, is it? Because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the expectation for...
But on the contrary, if they're not doing it...
They're not doing they're not going to... You have to do it.
Yeah.
But if you only have, a certain amount of characters, 140 characters or whatever your character limit is, and you're using it to say free shipping, you just look like everybody else. So you want to look at the offers, see what they are, come up with something unique, and then...
So some of these titles like free and then shipping and then the next thing and then free shipping and then the next thing, are those something that people should consider? Or should they put the 20% off in front plus free shipping or
Right.
this sort of thing?
In that order, you should do your discounting first, and then the free shipping, if you even mention it at all, second, because it's sort of the expected thing. And you can see here, 38% of the ads that had offers in them had free shipping.
Yeah.
So you're not going to look very unique if you spend all your character limit on the words free shipping.
Yeah, it is expected, even from our perspective. It's like if you don't have free shipping, the conversion rates just plummet. Especially if you're doing paid search or if you're an affiliate doing arbitrage, right? You're just going to be spending hemorrhaging money with terrible conversion
Yep.
rates. Some of the product listings. So we had jackets in here and gift baskets and a lot of things that worked and some things that didn't work as well. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I thought this was actually interesting.
Yeah,
We've
really
been
interesting.
studying product listing ads for most of the time since it's been around, which hasn't been very long, maybe a year plus. Like I mentioned earlier, a good 60 to 70% of the retail keywords on Google, and now Bing also coming out with their own variation of this, have a shopping ad unit on the page. And those shopping ad units are pretty, and they have a picture of the item, and they usually have 6 to 8 advertisers in the unit, and they take up the right-hand side of the page in position 4. So they have like huge visibility. And then these are just some little fun things, to see what percentage of the ads had these different types of products in them, like what you would want to buy over the retail season as a gift. So we just thought that was cool and put that out there. But the big takeaway here is if you look at the bottom of the picture, you can see this is snowboards. I always do snowboards. Max always talks about BMWs. I like to snowboard, so everything has to do with that. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 snowboarding ads on that page. They're pretty. And the biggest thing that you can do that I think would be super awesome for your strategies would work with your affiliates and pick part of the page to own, and then test it. So as the merchant, you could own the product listing ads and try to get as many of your products in that 8-unit box as you possibly can, because you can show up more than once. So that's the other cool thing. In the product listing ads, you can show up more than one time. With paid search, you can only show up once, right? So try to own that PLA ad unit, and then maybe empower your affiliates to have the paid side of the page.
So better saturation through multiple different strategies.
Exactly. Yeah, own the whole thing.
So it's interesting too, because we did a survey with all of our publishers around the world, asking them, and we asked what kind of offers do you like, and the free shipping was like, this is a standard, percentage off, BOGO, all the different things were out there. And one of the things that was the most common things they asked are, we want to know what the best-selling products are for that merchant. What we found out is most merchants don't tell their affiliates what are their best-selling products. And that is more important a lot of times than even the offer itself. Because in this example, the publisher who knows their audience can use whatever the best-selling product is and own the page with the best-selling product, which is fundamental. If you're a merchant, you need to tell your affiliates what your best-selling product is. And if you're an affiliate, you need to ask.
Well, on top of that, actually, I'll just add to that the Search Monitor can tell you that. Because we're tracking the product listing ads, we know which products are showing up the most in those ad units. It's for everybody.
That was a layup.
You did lay that up. Thank you. So you can figure out the manufacturer that's showing up the most. You can figure out the retailer that's showing up the most, the actual product name, color, and price point.
And we use this software. This works. It really is helpful. Ad extensions.
Is this another layup for me?
Yeah, this is another layup for you.
Does everyone know what an ad extension is on paid search? Come on, somebody knows what it is. You know when you're running a search and you see a phone number in the ad or an address? That's called an ad extension. You can add those onto your paid search campaign and set yourself apart. There was an astonishingly low percentage of ads that had a phone number running in them, 0.1% of all the ads that we were looking at over that Black Friday to Cyber Monday timeframe. So this is, in addition to having like a really awesome offer that's a little bit different, using ad extensions can make your ad look totally different. And search is a little more boring than display, where you can change the border color. We don't have any color. It's black and white. And you don't really have any control over anything besides the actual text. So one additional element are these ad extensions. If you don't know what they are, go to AdWords. There's tons of help documentation.
Yeah, and there are pieces of software that help you do click-to-call too. So you can still track it if you're an affiliate or a merchant, even though it's a phone number.
Good point.
So it's still convertible. So don't be scared about it, just handle it appropriately. How far did you guys get?
We're done.
Oh, wow. All right.
Well, that's fantastic.
And they didn't even call time yet.
Yeah, we can talk about it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff we can talk about with regards to competitive analysis and competitive data. When people go through the process of looking at who their competitors are, how many competitors should they look at? How do they find out which out of those competitors are the best fit? So should they look at 10? What's the sample size? And when they look at that sample size, and this is for both of you, when they look at that sample size, what pieces of data in particular should they be asking for that can then be used as a catalyst to help them out using your platforms?
Sure, I'll start on the display side. So the way that I look at it is you start with your direct competitors. So who do you directly compete against? And what I do is I look for similarities between them there. So if every one of my competitors are using a certain style of ad or advertising on a certain site, there's a reason that that's happening. I would note that down, I would mark it down, and that would help formulate the beginning of my strategy. Then, as I said, I look at people that target similar audiences and see what they're doing. And I look for causation there. So I look for what are they doing in a similar way? What's similar there? And again, competitive intelligence isn't some silver bullet where you can go in and you can just copy something and you can make money magically. And there's no secret button there, but what it does is it mitigates your risk throughout the whole process. So it allows you to spend less money to get the same results because you can take what somebody else is doing and utilize that within your own campaigns. So I do different tiers. I call it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So I start with tier 1, which are my direct competitors, and then tier 2 are the people that are fringe competitors who target the same audience, and then tier 3 are people that are semi-related.
But how do you define your direct competitors? So you have something that may be a really big brand that you're not at the level where you can compete with them, and somebody who's way below you. How do you understand where you fit, and should you be competing with, Target, or should you be competing with somebody that's a little less? Is Target here?
I mean, it's fascinating because I'd say you should compete. Even if you're an affiliate, you should compete with Target because Target spends hundreds of millions of dollars on their advertising spend. So what can you learn from what they've spent there?
So watch them and then define what out of what they're doing you can afford to do.
Or what can you take? What can you learn from their ads? What can you take back into your own ads? Are they doing something that's really cool and innovative? And how can you take that back into your ads? I mean, one of the coolest ads that I've seen is, do you know those YouTube ads and you can skip the ad after 5 seconds that everybody hates? Mm-hmm. I was on an airplane and Jeep had an ad that started running a completely unrelated ad, and there was a skip button. And it wasn't an actual skip button. Everyone's there trying to click the screen, and nothing's happening.
It was like the old punch the monkey thing that was going across the screen.
And everyone's clicking the thing, nothing's happening, and then it cuts and says, "Isn't this annoying? We give you luxury, we give you ease, Jeep."
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant. How can I take that back into, if I'm buying video ads, how can I take that back into my video ads as a merchant or as an affiliate, and use that to drive engagement with a product or what I'm doing?
It seems to me, though, that the consumers are beating the merchants and the affiliates to understanding how to market things. I mean, they're learning faster than we're able to keep up with them. So how do you deal with that? They know how coupon codes work. They know how discounts work. So you can't trick them. How do you...
Being the name of the game, trying to trick the consumer.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here.
I mean, you know, how do you look at what the competitors are doing and then learn from what they're doing to sort of be ahead of their consumers and then apply that to your own campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to make it a little bit faster than the other people. Mm-hmm. So it's about getting that small edge that sets you apart. So is it adding a phone number to your ad to make you stand out? Is it adding an innovative way to engage the consumer during your post-click process?
Yeah. So with Lori, you know, one of the things that I found out, I started to look into a bunch of data surrounding search and looking at the pricing and the offers along the same lines as that free shipping offer. And what I found out is in the price comparison engines, whether you're an affiliate or any kind of a price comparison engine, the difference between getting a consumer and not getting a consumer is typically $4. It's just $4.
That's interesting.
And that's the average difference. It's $4. You think about that for a second. Somebody else getting the consumer or you getting the consumer. So how would you be able to use that as a catalyst to jump into your search campaign using some of the extensions to sort of plug away at, look, this is the best deal you're going to find?
Yeah, while we were sitting here, I was thinking about that actual question. And I didn't even see your pre-questions.
We're running live here, folks.
Yeah, we're just on some kind of, there's a chip in there. When you're looking at, we'll go back to the product listing ads. When you're looking at the product listing ads, right now everything's sort of Wild West, and you can look up the word backpacks, and you'll find one for $30, and another one in that very same ad unit for $200. So there's just a wide pricing swings because there's a lack of control from the advertiser standpoint and a lack of knowledge of what's going on really because it's so new. And so once you look at that keyword and you say, wow, there's a price swing of $30 to $200, and if you knew Greg's piece of information that $4 mattered, then when you run a paid search ad, which you can actually control the copy, you can just capitalize on that and say backpacks at $26 or less.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely a way to do it if you just have a little bit of intel around it. And then I wanted to address your other question as to how you know who your competitors are.
Sure.
On search, it's really more of a challenge than you even think. Like we picked on Walmart and Target earlier, but they have competitors in the different product categories that they sell that aren't each other. There could be an expert game company that sells video games and game consoles that they're going to compete with in that game category. You know, they sell clothing, so there's going to be shoes. They compete in these silos, right? So who are their actual competitors really matters on A, what vertical you're looking at, and B, from our data, when we look at it, we can look at a vertical. We have over 1,200 verticals that have been categorized and filled in with keywords. And in any given vertical, you might wind up with 5,000 advertisers showing up because there's such a variation, a variety of advertisers and keywords in that vertical. You obviously don't compete with 5,000. So the first thing you do is narrow in on your vertical, and then the second thing you do is place yourself where we do something similar to what Max's company does, where you have a low, medium, and high sort of tiering system. Figure out where you place using a tool that figures it out for you. And then it will tell you who your competitors actually are. And it could be surprising. You might not even realize that someone who's web only, that maybe isn't even a huge brand name, might be a great, amazing competitor in a niche.
So packaging up and making sure you own the space was something that you talked about. So own that space. But the previous slide that showed all the different channels you can use all play a role in owning that space, because it's not just owning the page, right? It's owning the topic. Yep. Topic broken down by vertical specific, right? So if you're apparel, it's handbags, and then, you know, owning it in social media, owning it in content, owning it in blog sites, you know, in every one of these spaces. So if you use the technology that, I mean, you have to use both versions to see what they're doing and where they're running ads, and then applying your tool to learn exactly what they're doing. So one of the questions that I had is people said, you know, you need to own that vertical. And they said, well, that's a pretty loaded question. You know, how do I own that vertical, and how do I afford to own that vertical when I'm up against places like Target that have, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in ad spend? So tactically working on your strategy, using the tools that you have, also help you understand what it's going to cost you to compete against these people, not just, you know, how to compete against them. So, yeah. You know, this is a feature that I really thought was incredible, so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the coolest part is you look at someone like, we already established that Target's not in the audience, right? Are you hiding? I'm going to They are a very big advertiser. They show up everywhere. Pretty much every retail keyword you're going to look for, you're going to see Target show up on. But what you might not realize is they don't need to be in positions 1 through 4 because they have such huge brand awareness that they can actually save a lot of money and be in positions 5 through 10. So they're not usually going to show up in the top spots.
They don't have to.
They don't have to because they have the branding.
And that means there's opportunity for somebody else to compete with them.
Right.
At a price that isn't up against Target's actual price.
Yeah, you just have to be, like Max said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, you just have to be one step ahead of the wheel manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people here, I have a feeling, are smaller affiliates or merchants that have the ability to maneuver like a kayak. And a lot of these large merchants, they have a hard time maneuvering. It's like turning the Titanic. So you can outmaneuver these guys using the tools that they have and really understand where those holes are that they're missing that cost you less, but allow you to compete with them. We've seen a lot of companies, smaller companies over the last 20 years overtake larger companies just by outmaneuvering them, replacing them with brand, but understanding where they're placing brand using some of the tools on the display side, and then understanding where they're actually getting the conversions on the search side really help you understand where those holes actually set. Let me ask, how many people in here are affiliates? Would you raise your hands if you're an affiliate? And then how many people are merchants? So it's like half and half. So for both of you to understand, if you're a merchant, you're always questioning yourself whether this affiliate is adding value. And if this affiliate is doing something that duplicates what you're doing. And if you look at the traffic flow and you look at new versus returning, or if you look at attribution and you look at the introducer, the influencer, and the closer process, the affiliates play a role in that. Now, you can add value by understanding, also using their tools, who is an introducer, who is an influencer, and who is a closer. And then go back to the merchant and show how that process shows your value. That's a lot different than the value that you could get by not explaining that, or not explaining what you bring to the table as a publisher. So from a merchant's perspective, merchants love this because it helps them understand where they're filling things in and where their affiliates are going to fill things in. Leveraging their affiliates is key, but understanding how is even more important. The assets that they bring to the table are really, really valuable assets that help out with the process of understanding how to compete and how to help your publishers and how your publishers can help you. Some of the things that I thought were really unique is the way that the data is actually displayed. In other words, not just, I wish we could pull up something here to show, but the way that you guys actually publish the information, the detail that you get down to on a granular level actually allows you to really dig in and understand, to pinpoint what you should do. It's not so broad. And in this conversation, I feel like we've talked about a lot of real broad subjects, and I want to urge the idea of at least looking at the details, because the granular details are where the opportunities are. The other thing that I learned when I use their tools is a lot of the big obstacles, the big problems that the bigger brands and bigger publishers, they don't focus on because they've gotten so big now, they don't have the time. They're looking for the bigger dollar. They're looking for lower hanging fruit. And the term lower hanging fruit is usually a good thing, but in the case of competing against somebody that's a lot bigger than you, it's not necessarily a good thing because problems present opportunities. And a lot of their details actually point out places where you can see the hole that big merchant or that big publisher decided not to mess with because there's so many problems and there's so much time involved in doing it. Looking at that granular level builds it up. I mean, elephants get fat on peanuts, so looking at those little details can add up over time. And some of the details you guys have, maybe you could talk about some of the, especially in the search monitor, it's some of the details you get on what they're doing is just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we can see, so when we pull in data, we're actually doing this all day long. So we have very time-sensitive information. We have the ad copy, the page rank, how many spots somebody owned on the page. We're talking about the PLAs. We have all that PLA information about products, pricing, share of voice, ad spend, incredible amounts of information, and all of that's really helpful. But I really think the coolest part is if you're running a campaign And all of this, it's happened to all of us. Everything's going great, and then all of a sudden your cost per click skyrockets, and you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Well, we can sort of give you some insight into that, because we've been crawling all month long, and we can tell you, oh, well, on that particular day, 3 competitors moved in that weren't there before. You lost market share to this person, this person, and this person. Therefore, your automated bidding software probably saw that and then raised your CPC.
Yeah, or somebody came in that didn't know what they were doing and just figured out until they ran out of money, they just started running ads.
Right, they just run ads and the whole market is out of whack.
Yeah.
So things like that, trending what's happening in the market, and so you can see what in the world's going on here. Sometimes you need to know because you have to retool your own strategy. Sometimes you need to know because you're getting yelled at by someone you work for. So it helps you, one way or the next, you're going to find some value in that.
Yeah, and looking at the ad spend piece in particular shows you how big the competitor is. A lot of the brands that we have, for example, people don't know how big they are. They've heard of Mattel and Forever 21, that sort of thing, but if you pull in a brand that is sort of like one of the sleepers, like Nasty Gal is a fashion apparel that nobody's ever heard of. They do just as much as giant retailer, and a lot of what they do is employ some of the stuff that you have, and they look at it and they go, well, if they're spending that much money and these guys are spending, maybe they're not actually our primary target. In other words, understanding who is climbing up against you, who's in your shadow, not just who's ahead of you. But to make sure that you always stay in the position that you're in is just as important as making sure that you pass up your competitor.
That's a great point.
So, we look at that a lot because it's really interesting in terms of the ad spend. You can see this activity that you were just talking about, and you can see sort of like the guys that are sneaking up behind you, and look behind you as well as in front of you, which is really useful.
Display is a little bit different because you're not only competing on a keyword, you're competing on an ad network, or you're competing against people that can buy or run a network. So what you see happen, and we show the same kind of granular detail on the display side, and what you can see happen is you can see at the end of a quarter, the end of a month, a brand come in and go, oh crap, we have a whole bunch of money, and they dump it onto ad networks, or they dump it into various spend, and you can see them sort of take over.
Maybe
and
they're
being able
building
to
brand, or maybe they're trying to add more revenue.
Or maybe they just have a bunch of money and they tell their agency to spend it really quickly, which happens more than you think.
Right.
So if you can see that and you can identify that, you can scale down your bids and sort of ride that wave out and not waste money bidding against somebody that's just literally trying to spend budget.
We spent endless hours before these assets were built. We would spend endless hours. We have 4 people on staff full time just doing this work. To give you guys an idea, it can be done now in 30 seconds. So this is a true value, and it can actually add efficiencies. It can make you ready, fire, aim instead of ready, aim, fire instead of ready, fire, aim. Most merchants that we watch, it's a lot of people just shooting everywhere and hoping something sticks, versus people actually creating a good strategy and then a good tactical approach to that strategy.
Yeah.
It works for us. We run, and we don't just use it in the U.S. We use it in 4 countries. And
I think we're almost out of time, so I think we should take questions really quickly. So if you guys have any questions or want to ask something, there's a microphone right there. Jump on up. I promise we don't bite too hard.
He does.
I might.
Really quickly, I'm Mitch. What do you guys see as the next thing? Because I know what I was doing yesterday, I'm not doing today. Just you guys see anything out there that maybe we should be paying attention to? Thanks.
Yeah, again, I think from my perspective, it's mobile. I mean, we were and I'll shamelessly plug a little bit, we were the first person to release a mobile intelligence tool. We released it before Nielsen or ComScore or anybody. We're one of the only people in the world to have a mobile in-app intelligence tool. And as I said, agencies and brands don't understand how to do it. So if you can understand that and utilize it yourself, there's also a large opportunity to go and help very, very large brands and make a ton of money helping them utilize that channel. Mobile is like, right now, is like before the Wild West. It's like Columbus just came, and both. No, I mean, people, they try and port it over. I mean, the biggest both. I mean, the biggest issue is that we hear from. Pardon?
Point of entry from the
It is expensive, but there's a lot of traffic there. So if you're just running another advertiser's offer, it's not as expensive. If you're trying to create your own stuff, it's a bit more expensive because you have to create a whole new experience. But if you look at it, when we go and talk, I mean, the buying agencies all want to buy, but nobody knows how to create that creative or experience. Pardon? App. Yeah. I mean, you can make your site mobile responsive, but it's all about, especially mobile, it's about figuring out how to get the commerce piece down, how to create engagement with the consumer if you're a merchant. If you're an affiliate, it's about driving conversions. So there, it's just an ad that drives probably direct. I mean, there's not a lot of intermediate, non-landing page mobile stuff.
I have a friend, know him really well, tiny merchant, strapped for time, and not a lot of money. Where would you? It's me, actually. It's not a friend. Where would you?
We knew that, by the way.
Where would you suggest he or she spend 30 minutes a day on competitive analysis? 15 to 30 minutes a day.
I mean, if you're looking at competitive intelligence, the first thing that I would do is you can do, it depends. If you're really strapped for cash, you can do a bit of it yourself by going around and looking at free services like Alexa, or taking a trial at a service like ours and looking at our data set there to try and get something that works. But really, it's about, if you don't have a ton of money, I would start on search just because the barrier is a bit lower than display. Display is a bit higher risk but a bit higher reward because of the scalability aspect. But really, it's about looking at different keywords, doing research there about what's working, using something like the search monitor to help you understand that strategy, and then build. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. Your ad campaign doesn't need to be built in a day either. It can be built piece by piece. You find one little thing that's working, and then build another block, and use that to continue to grow it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that small, and your first question to yourself is, you're at the beginning, what keywords are even important to me? How do I know where to start? There are tools, not ours, but there are other tools that exist that will help you pick keywords. That's your first spot. From there, you need to test. So you would take the keyword list that looks like it makes the most sense, and probably your first go at it is just going to be based on what the cost per click is, because you realize you do some rough math and you think, oh, I can't spend $1.50 a click. Maybe I can only afford 60 cents. So you're going to limit down that keyword list based on that price point. And then the next thing you're going to do is start with broad match. There's 3 different match types with all the search engines. There's broad, phrase, and exact. You want to start with broad and run a very short, quick campaign before you lose your shirt, and then stop it, and then look at the actual searches that were being run by the consumers to find your ads, and then further hone your keyword list. That's probably your best 15 minutes that you're going to spend.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question you have to learn search. You have to learn it.
You can go on Fiverr and people will do a keyword comparison for you for $5. That's what we did on Fiverr, and we're number one anywhere in the world for looking for marriage.
Did everybody hear that? That's
a good tip.
We use Fiverr for everything.
Fiverr.
Yeah.
We'll do a competitive research on the keywords for, what did you say?
Well, for me, I'm on a dating site that competes with eHarmony, so for us, we wanted to find keywords that were associated with marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Fiverr to find competitive keywords that we match up with, and there's a whole boatload of people that will do all your SEO for you, do creatives for you for $5.
So this guy says he'll do it for $5.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
If you just look around, people will do that stuff for $5, and take for what it's worth. You get $5, but if it turns out to be great.
Is that a similar tool to the Mechanical Turks, where it's human
Yep.
per paper? Okay, that's
Exactly.
neat.
Yeah, so my question is about this disjoint between affiliates and merchants that everyone has sort of talked about throughout the conference, where everyone's not quite in sync. I'm actually a new merchant where we don't yet have any affiliates, and I'm sort of trying to avoid these pitfalls that, before they happen to us. One of the things you mentioned was a lack of transparency. Do you think that lack of transparency is because people don't have the data to share, they're too stupid to share the data, they don't know that's what they need to be doing? or something else entirely? They're hoarding it or something.
I mean, I'll speak from the affiliate perspective because I did that for a long time. As an affiliate, you're terrified that you're going to give the merchant that data, and the merchant's going to go, screw you, and then take that, and that's why, because they do all the time. If I go to a merchant and I say, this keyword's working really well for me, whose ad do I see up there the next day? They're like, thanks so much, we don't need you anymore, bye. So that's why would they need me if I told them everything I was doing? On the merchant side, the merchant's worried that the affiliate's going to screw them. So there's just no trust there, because back when I was an affiliate, I'll be honest, if a merchant said this keyword's working well for me, I'd be there the next day. I don't care. I find a way to do it. So it's about segmenting channels, or it's about finding things that you're not good at and you need help with, and letting people own those pieces for you and really help you there, because it can be more cost effective and allow you to focus on what you're really good at. It's not about competing in direct channels with those same people, or the channel needs to be so large that you can both have a piece of the pie there.
There is communication, though. The best thing that we found is the merchant actually telling the affiliate what works that they're not doing, and letting the affiliate do it. A lot of times the merchants think it's more profitable, they get a better ROAS if they do it themselves, and 90% of the time it's not true. Because the affiliate's fronting the money, first of all. If they're fronting the money and they're paying after, and they're paying after Rex, and they're only paying for that, what convert, and then they're only paying the amount that they already said they would pay, they choose that amount, then all the merchant has to do is all the affiliate has to do is make some adjustments to their payment process to make it less expensive to use them. And by doing that, and the merchant having the affiliate do the transaction in the front, they have more revenue in that 30-day period to put on the stuff that they are doing. So, because they're not paying for the transactions until after locks, until after the transactions are locked. So a lot of times it just has to do with having a good communication strategy with your affiliates to let them know what's better, which process is better for them, and working through them. They can be an incredible asset. It doesn't need to be this relationship. It can be an incredible relationship if the two parties work together like partners. The problem is a lot of the times that they don't work like partners and they don't trust each other. One of the things that help keep that in line is compliance. The Search Monitor also offers a compliance process that looks to see what the affiliates are doing, and it keeps them in check and makes sure that they're following the rules they're supposed to be following.
Cool, thanks.
Any other questions or anything before we wrap up? And then if you guys have questions that you don't necessarily want to ask in front of everybody else, I'll be around. I assume Lori will be right after, and we're happy to talk.
I've worked on both sides, and I'm working on the merchant side now, and we provide a lot of training for quote-unquote quality affiliates so that they can do search, they can use our graphics, infographics, like all free training, all free creatives, and we'll even make them custom order. But we just do not, no one is interested in knowing more about the search as we're getting up affiliates. All we're finding are ad networks. Sometimes they're, competing with each other, of course. You run into that problem. But why are affiliates not that interested in the search side and the tools and the competitive tools, and we'll provide it to them for free? And what can I do to get those kind of affiliates that are interested in it?
You need to show that there's a return there for the affiliate, because my time and effort as an affiliate would be worth money. And bluntly speaking, in 99% of cases, your stock creatives are not very good. The affiliate would rather go and create their own and figure out how they can push the envelope to the furthest to get the most out of their money. Because you have to remember that they are taking all of that risk, and they're a domain expert in what they're doing.
Well, they're not stock creatives. We started out on the affiliate side too. They're ones that we pay graphics people a lot to design, and we even take requests,
Yeah. And again, that comes down to the distrust. So if I have a really great creative strategy, I'm not going to request it through you because I think that you're going to take it. I'm going to go build it on my own.
See, I think it comes down to the communication and building the trust. I think it has to do with, a process of two parties trusting each other. And it's true, the affiliates, their time, your conversion rate as a merchant is selling a product. Theirs is their time converting into a commission. Starting with converting, traffic into a conversion into a commission. So if you think upstream and you think to yourself that how can you help them, I think it has a lot to do with making sure that in the beginning that you build up a relationship where it says, look, We're here to try to help you, not take away from you. Affiliates have been burned so many times over the past, especially the past 10 years, where merchants ask what they're doing and then they take it, or this sort of thing. And this is changing now. A lot of the merchants are starting to realize that the affiliates are actually incredible assets if leveraged correctly, and that changes their behavior. And by doing that, you can get them to utilize these tools, because you build the relationship where, hey, I'm trying to help you. Here's not only the tool, but here's how you can utilize it to have me help you. Versus here's a tool for you to utilize to figure things out so that I can get it from you without having to pay my own staff to do it.
Right, and I totally understand the distrust from affiliates. I wouldn't give most people my average. One person was saying, ask for screenshots from your affiliates. I would never do that as an affiliate. I understand why they wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, building the trust is hard.
I think it's changing. I think it's changing a lot. I see more and more relationships getting tighter and better and stronger than I do going the other direction. I think we're out of time, so thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. We'll be around after.